Perks serve as the primary way to truly make your character your own. Oftentimes, they offer certain proficiencies, open avenues for different playstyles, or provide unique interactions. They're the best way to express yourself in the character creation process. But not all perks are created equal. Let's talk about some of the worst perks that modern Fallout has ever seen. Before we begin, I should note that this list only covers perks from Fallout 3 onwards. Because the classic games are so different in terms of gameplay, it's hard to compare them with other more contemporary perks, or even their more contemporary counterparts. We're keeping it Fallout 3 and beyond for this one. Oh, and no broken perks either. These are perks that are just straight up bad. Anywho, let's get into it. Here and Now. Found in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, Here and Now, despite being a perk staple, is one of the worst the series has to offer. The in-game description of Here and Now reads, "The Here and Now perk immediately grants an additional experience level, complete with all the advantages that brings." Sounds great, right? Leveling up is the best part of the Fallout games, and who wouldn't want a free one? But it's a complete scam. While the perk promises that instant gratification that we are all so fond of, it offers no real advantage beyond a flashy notification that you've once again leveled up. In fact, taking this perk is like spending your hard-earned paycheck on another paycheck. Sure, you get another paycheck, that's great, but you just wasted your first one. The main issue with Here and Now is how it fundamentally misunderstands the concept of value. Both Fallout 3 and New Vegas have level caps, a maximum level which can be achieved. This also means that it has a perk cap. You can only select a limited number of perks for your character. In Fallout 3, you select one perk every level. With a level cap of 30 with Broken Steel, you're limited to 30 perks. In New Vegas, you get a perk every 2 levels. With a level cap of 50, if you have all the DLC of course, you're limited to 25 perks. This means that you should make the most out of every perk you select. By taking Here and Now, you're essentially throwing away an opportunity to select something that could provide meaningful long-term benefit. Why not choose Bloody Mess for a damage boost? Here and Now is a one-time deal that leaves you with nothing but regret. So the next time you're scrolling through your level up screen, remember this: a free level is never worth the cost. Explorer. Explorer is another perk that just isn't all too great. Appearing in both Fallout 3 and New Vegas, it's just honestly not worth taking. The in-game description reads, "When you choose the Explorer perk, every location in the world is revealed on your map, so get out there and explore." It may sound good at first, having every location in the game mapped out for you in an instant, but instead of feeling like an adventurer uncovering the mysteries of the wasteland, you're trading meaningful gameplay for a glorified cheat code. Fallout is all about exploration, piecing together clues, stumbling across unmarked locations, and earning the satisfaction of charting your own path. By picking Explorer, you strip that away. Suddenly, the fog of discovery is gone, replaced by a map cluttered with markers. The perk robs you of the joy of finding places organically and replaces it with something sterile and uninspired. And what do you actually have to gain from those markers? Not much. Sure, you can see where everything is, but you still have to physically travel to all those places to do anything meaningful and unlock their fast travel point. Most Fallout games already do a great job at guiding the player to the most interesting spots. The locations you're really excited about, the vaults, major quest hubs, or secret facilities, are almost always revealed naturally through gameplay. What's even more insulting is how late you usually unlock Explorer. By the time it becomes available, there's a good chance you've already discovered most of the map on your own, or at least the important bits. In the end, Explorer isn't really a perk. It's a shortcut that undermines one of Fallout's core appeals. The thrill of discovery is what makes Fallout special. Don't ruin it by taking the Google Maps perk. Bloody Mess would be a lot better. Infiltrator. Infiltrator falls flat, period. Found again in both 3 and New Vegas, the in-game description reads, "The Infiltrator perk gives you a second attempt at lock that you've previously broke while trying to force it. At first glance, it might sound like something useful, a safety net in case you have butterfingers, but here's the problem. You can only break a lock by forcing it, and forcing it means skipping the lock-picking minigame entirely and gambling on pure RNG. And let's be honest, who does that? Fallout's lockpicking minigame is one of the series' most satisfying mechanics, carefully maneuvering the bobby pin, hoping it doesn't snag, and celebrating when the lock finally gives way. It's fun. Fallout 3's Infiltrator also requires level 18 to take, which means by the time you get to it, you'll have way more options to take instead. There's no reason to take Infiltrator over other more useful perks in Fallout 3, like Bloody Mess for example. You should leave Infiltrator locked away forever. Computer Whiz. In a similar vein, Computer Whiz is also pretty poopy. Once again, a perk in 3 and New Vegas, the in-game description reads, "Fail a hack attempt and get locked out of a computer? Not if you're a computer whiz. With this perk, you get a second chance at any computer you were previously locked out of." Much like its equally underwhelming sibling Infiltrator, this perk only gives value after you've made a specific and unavoidable mistake, getting locked out of a terminal. And how do you lock yourself out? Well, by failing all 4 of your password guesses. Fallout's hacking minigame isn't all too difficult. It's a fun little game of logic and elimination, with chances to eliminate wrong guesses and replenish them as well. Simply hunt for those brackets to reset your tries, or remove dud passwords. Locking yourself out requires either impatience or neglecting the system entirely. Better yet, if you do get stuck, just back out of the terminal with 1 guess remaining and try again. Sure, the computer will reset, but at least you'll get another shot at it. To give a bit of credit, I do think that the hacking minigame is much more difficult than the lock-picking one. This makes Computer Whiz marginally better than Infiltrator in my opinion, but it's still just not worth the perk investment when things like Bloody Mess exist. Just get good at hacking. If you need this perk, it's really just a skill issue. Lead Belly. Lead Belly is one of the many radiation-altering perks that all belong in the trash bin. Lead Belly can be found in Fallout 3, New Vegas, 4, and 76. The Fallout 3 in-game description for it reads, "With the Lead Belly perk, you take 50% less radiation every time you drink from an irradiated water source. Lead Belly may sound practical at first, become more rad resistant, but it's really just a waste. Despite it being one of the many environmental hazards within the wasteland, radiation, especially from drinking water or eating food, is never really that big of a deal. The game gives you many ways to deal with it, so it makes Lead Belly feel unnecessary. Oftentimes, Radaway is fairly easy to come by. Pair that with some Rad-X, and you've essentially made Lead Belly obsolete. We have Lead Belly at home. Sure, the perk can find its uses in New Vegas' hardcore mode, as managing thirst levels is important, but it's just not great when your pockets are full of Rad-X and Radaway anyway. It's just a waste. Furthermore, the same reasoning can be used for many of the other radiation-altering perks. Rad Resistance and Rad Absorption come to mind. The consumables you have just do a better job, allowing you to get more valuable perks. You can choose something better. Maybe Bloody Mess. Vans. Contending for the worst Fallout perk ever made is Vans. Fallout 4's in-game description reads, "Let Vault Tech guide you. The path to your closest quest target is displayed in VATS." It makes it so that you can see the shortest path to your quest or destination marker in VATS, and that's it. It requires only 1 intelligence and is available right away from your first level up. Now, because of the leveling mechanics in Fallout 4 and the lack of hard level cap, you can get a ton of perks. So Vans is more of an early game bait than anything. It is not nearly as detrimental as some of the bad perks from New Vegas or 3, where the perk economy is so much stricter. You get a ton more perks in 4 than in any other Fallout game. But taking Vans early can slow down your build, as you could have taken something better than a glowing green path. I'd rather have an additional point in any of my special stats than take Vans. However, it was in a later update that Vans was made slightly better. It was with the release of Nuka World that Vans got a second rank to it. This rank would unlock at level 36 and give a permanent +2 to perception, which is definitely more useful than the green path that rank 1 gives. But those 2 perks could have gotten better returns if spent elsewhere, perhaps on 2 ranks of Bloody Mess. I really do think that Vans needs to go back to the mechanic. Night Person. Night Person promises the moon, but really just gives you a flashlight with dying batteries. It's a crummy perk. Night Person has appeared in Fallout 3, New Vegas, 4, and 76, all doing just about the same thing. The Fallout 3 in-game description reads, "When the sun is down, a night person gains +2 to both intelligence and perception, up to a maximum of 10. This perk directly affects your internal clock and remains active both inside and outside." It sounds cool, but Night Person is a little more than wasted potential. First off, the perk, of course, only works during nighttime hours, meaning you're locked out of its benefit for half of the game's 24-hour clock. Do you really want to have to wait for 12 hours every time at 6 AM again just to get a benefit? No, you don't. That's not a fun way to play. Why waste a perk getting something that only has a situational buff when you could get a perk that gives a permanent buff instead? The benefit just isn't worth how situational it is. In a similar vein, Solar Powered acts as the daytime counterpart to Night Person, giving a strength and health regen benefit between the hours of 6 AM and 6 PM. For similar reasons, it's just not that great. Sure, the benefit's good, but having it only situationally active kinda sucks. Your level up could have been spent getting perks that don't care about the time of day. Both Night Person and Solar Powered feel like a good idea that got lost somewhere along the lines. A dynamic system where your character grows stronger or weaker based on the time of day could have been incredible, but instead you're just left with a slight and temporary bonus to your special stats. It doesn't feel great. Ultimately, Night Person and Solar Powered are perfect examples of perks that try to sound thematic and interesting, but just kind of fall flat. You deserve perks that make your character substantially stronger, like Bloody Mess, not ones that make you constantly check the clock. Woodchucker. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Well, a woodchuck could chuck a lot of wood if a woodchuck could chuck wood. But even a woodchuck would not take woodchucker. Appearing in Fallout 76, the perk description reads, "Collect twice as much when harvesting wood." Now, here's the thing. Wood is one of the most abundant materials in Fallout 76, that and steel. I do not need more wood. You can find it everywhere. A total of 72 junk items give an assorted amount of wood when scrapped. Scrapping weapons and armor usually gives some amount of wood, depending on the item. It can be found everywhere, and I mean that. So for a bit of background, a Reddit user put together a project where they made a ton of maps showing off where certain resources can be found within the game. This is the map for wood. All those blue dots are locations where wood can be found. The stuff is everywhere. So sure, for the most efficient wood farming, put Woodchucker on your build. But otherwise, this monstrosity should never be a permanent fixture of any build, unlike Bloody Mess, which should be in every build. I would only ever recommend taking this perk if you're a beaver or part beaver. Fortune Finder. Fortune Finder is a perk that you might not expect to see on this list, and I think that's a fair observation. This is probably my wildest take in terms of bad perks, but hear me out. Fortune Finder has appeared in Fallout 3, New Vegas, 4, and 76. The Fallout 3 perk description reads, "With the Fortune Finder perk, you'll find considerably more Nuka-Cola caps in containers than you normally would." While it sounds like it could be helpful, especially early on when you're a broke little wastelander, it quickly becomes obsolete. Most of the time, you'll be earning hundreds of caps from completing quests or selling equipment, junk, and other collectibles. Finding an extra 20 to 80 caps, or in very rare instances, an extra 190 caps, isn't all too much when compared to the chem dealing business I do out of my backpack. It quickly gets eclipsed. Not only that, the Fallout games are known for their bugs and exploits. Every installment has its own cheeky way to earn a whole lot of caps. You don't need to be scouring containers for some spare ones. And then in Fallout 76, there's a cap on caps, an upper limit of 40,000. Fortune Finder will only get you to that cap quicker, when you don't really need to be rushing to it. Just sell all those spare stim packs from your daily ops, and you'll get there in no time. Money making is easy. So while Fortune Finder isn't absolute trash like some of the other perks on this list, I do find it unnecessary in most cases. Just take Bloody Mess instead. It's much better. Swift Learner. I've saved the worst for last. Appearing in both Fallout 3 and New Vegas, Swift Learner's perk description reads, with each level of Swift Learner, yeah, you can take this perk more than once, your character will gain an additional 10% experience whenever experience points are earned. This perk falls flat for the expected reasons. Fallout 3 and New Vegas have level caps. This also means that they have caps on the number of perks you can take. While Swift Learner does get you to these level caps quicker, meaning you can get other perks quicker, once you've hit the cap, Swift Learner does nothing anymore. It's a wasted perk. Just like Here and Now mentioned at the very start, Swift Learner promises faster progression, but it doesn't provide anything in the long run. Both Fallout 3 and New Vegas have plenty of XP sources. Completing quests, discovering locations, completing stat checks, and killing enemies all provide experience points. There's an abundance of them. You don't really need a perk that gives you a little bit more. Swift Learner is just a classic beginner trap, a perk that preys on the natural desire to level up quickly, but it offers little in return. If you're tempted to take it, do yourself a favor and skip it. Focus on perks that enhance your character like Bloody Mess, and let the XP come naturally. After all, there's no point in leveling up faster if you're just going to waste your levels on perks like this. Swift Learner is pretty cheeks. And that wraps up what I believe to be 10 of the worst perks in all of modern Fallout. From level manipulation to a green line, these are some of the worst perks that Fallout has to offer. Agree? Disagree? Can you think of any perks that are just as bad or worse? Let me know. But that's all from me today, folks. If you like the video, be sure to share and subscribe, join the Discord. Have a good rest of your day. Cheers.